Hello, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League Dad. My name is Key and we are live for a bit of Serie A football tonight. We're going to be watching Napoli against Roma. Antonio Conte's Napoli against Piero Gasperini's Roma. At the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Third against fifth. Roma outside of the top four, outside of the Champions League places, just behind Juventus on goal difference only. Juventus obviously lost last night against Inter Milan, a late win for Inter Milan to take them flying high at the top of Serie A. Napoli look like they're going to lose the Scudetto crown this year unless they're going to have to win tonight, Napoli. They have to win. So it's going to be a really, really cool game. If you like Serie A, if you like watching football in general, I think you're going to love this one. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions. We'll obviously be chatting about everything else football-related that's happened this weekend and maybe make some predictions for this week. There's a lot of other cool games going on this week, so we'll do our level best to talk through everything. And if you're on TikTok, if you're in Twitch, if you're on YouTube, wherever you are watching, wherever in the world you're watching, let us know what you think, let us know your thoughts, and we'll have a chat. But this is on TNT. It's on TNT Sport, so I'll be watching it on TNT Sport. Kicks off in 10 minutes' time. Yo, Sasha, member, Premier League Dad Members Club. Great to see Sasha joining the Premier League Dad Members Club. Fabulous stuff. Why is my remote not working? There you go. 3-1 says Ryan. Connor says 2-2. Chimey says I'm only here to see Abedi McTominay. And Sarah says I'm good, thanks Jake and yourself. Good stuff. Yolson says, do you think Liverpool have a good chance of winning the FA Cup? Yeah, we have as good a chance as many others, I guess. Yeah, we've got a decent chance. Arsenal 121416. How's it going, mate? Lovely to see you. And we'll be doing some quizzes as well, as always. We always do our quizzes. I've got a good one for tonight. Josh Gardiner, what football team do you support? I'm a Liverpool fan, Josh. Yeah, Liverpool fan. But we watch everyone on this channel. That's what we do. Watch a game, at least one game of football every day. We've already watched Arsenal dismantle League One Wigan 4-0 in the FA Cup. Now we're watching Napoli-Roma. Chazza, Key, what do you think of AFTV, if you know them? Do you think they're delusional? No, I don't think they're delusional. They are very successful. They've built a really, really cool fan channel that a lot of people enjoy watching. Some people don't like it. Some people do like it. That's life. Yeah. No, I don't have any issues with AFTV. Good luck to him. Chronic Maths says Roma 3-0. And Jimmy says, who do you think was man of the match in the Arsenal game, Key? I thought Eze did really well. I think the 2 assists from Eze were different class in the first half. And to be honest, the second half was a bit dead in the water, to be honest. There wasn't really much going on full stop in the second half. I thought Gyökeres might come on and really kick on and get a couple of chances, but didn't really put himself about enough, I didn't think, in the second half. So, yeah, I'd go with Eze, personally. But I'm interested to see what you think. Shell, how did you handle the Reggie's Key? There wasn't that many, to be honest, Shell. It was all good fun. Yeah, it was all good. We just had a chat. Madhouse says, evening, Key and folks. Scotty Bracing coming. Jamal says, will you do Cov v Borough tomorrow? No, Jamal, no, not doing Cov v Borough. I'm doing Barca v Girona, or Girona v Barca, rather. I think that's going to be a really good one to watch. Hello, Kamani. How's it going, Kamani? And Onyé says, AFTV give Arsenal a very bad reputation. Arsenal are a very likeable club, in all honesty. Why do you think they give Arsenal a bad reputation? CJ, yo, good to see you, man. I think Arsenal could have scored maybe 2 more, but they were slow, but good result for the Gunners. Yep, still a good result, 4-0. It's not a bad result. They're through, that's the main thing. On a permo, hey Key, hey ladies, hey lads, how's it going? Connor says, I do welding, but 40 quid a year is worth saving money for, fair enough. And Jake, how's it going? Right, lineups, let's go through the lineups. The lineups are as follows. It's a very, very changed Napoli lineup, actually. It's Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Romani, Buongiorno and Bukima, at the back. I was thinking, is that if I pronounced that right? But yeah, hang on one second. Let me get it up on the phone. And then it's Milinkovic-Savic, Romani, Buongiorno and Bukima at the back. Gutierrez and Spinazzola in the wing-back positions with Lobotka, Elmas, Politano and Vergara just behind Rasmus Højlund. Scott McTominay is out with a muscle injury. No Kevin De Bruyne, no David Neres, no Frank Zambo Anguissa. Lukaku is on the bench. Billy Gilmour is on the bench. But yeah, it's very much about Rasmus Højlund tonight for Napoli. For Roma, they've got Milos Villar in goal, Gilardi and Dicker and Mancini at the back with Wesley and Celik in the wing-back positions, Pisili and Cristante in midfield, Pellegrini, Zaragoza and Marlon. Daniel Marlon starting up front. Former Aston Villa centre-forward Daniel Marlon starting up front. Anya says some of the stuff they do for years often winds up other fans and some of the takes, gosh. Well, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe there is a part of it that is just about winding people up. I don't know. Maybe that is what it is. If it is, then they're very good at it, aren't they? Again, you could argue that some people do it just to get clicks and just to get views and rage bait and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I have no issue with him, personally. Average gamer, score predictions, I'm saying 2-0 Napoli. I think, having seen that lineup, I think it's going to be a 2-2. I think we're going to see goals. And I think Roma can get a point here. Hearts top of the league still, says Long John. Yeah. Yolson says, are Serie A games more entertaining than the Prem these days? Well, do you know what? Some of them are. Some of them are really, really good to watch. I enjoy watching the Serie A games. Here's Daniel Marlon. We're already underway here. James Sweden, 3-1 Napoli, and no Scotty, no win for Napoli, says Madhouse. And Shell says 3 points between them, Key. Between who? Between Napoli and Roma? Two-wheel car, who would you sack Slot? No, absolutely not. I don't know a single Liverpool fan that would. And Anya, who would you want to sign for Liverpool this summer or sell loan? I think McAllister needs to go. I think Rio Engamoa probably needs a loan. I think I'd like to keep Canate, but whether or not he does is another matter. I think we need to move Roberts on because obviously his contract's up and he's not going to sign a new contract, sadly. I would have liked to keep him, but if Robertson goes, then we need to sign a replacement left back. Wesley does unbelievably well there, claim for a free kick. Hey, there might even be a handball in that actually. Anye, I like the Serie A. Every year there seems to be a different winner, or teams like Como or Bologna competing for the top four. It's a good league. I enjoy watching Serie A. Dara says Napoli 2-0, I think. And Ashish says Liverpool is more beautiful than Man United. 3 stars says Hearts winning the SPL this season will be a refreshing change from Celtic or Rangers. And Honor Permo says knew McAllister was going to come out. You just couldn't type it out quicker than you said it. I'm telling you, it's always going to be McAllister. McAllister is the one Liverpool starter that we do need to move on. He's dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. 2.5 minutes in. Napoli not really got out of their own half yet. LJ says, as an Everton fan, it's interesting that some people say I hate Liverpool more than I love Everton, which is nonsense. Nah, you've got to support your team, haven't you? You've got to support your team. That's the main thing. James says, what do you think the score will be? I think this one's going to be 2-2. I think it's going to be Desmond. Lots of goals. Both teams maybe missing key players from both an attacking sense and a defensive sense. Roma are in here, though. I think Daniel Marlin's started his Roma career very well. AJ, who are you watching? I'm watching Roma and Napoli, mate. Shame for McAllister. He's only 27. He just looks so off it. Would do well in Italy or Spain. I just think he's made his mind up. I actually think he's decided he wants to go. Slower league, less physical pressure. It could be that. I don't necessarily think he's struggling with the... I think mentally he's checked out. I genuinely think that's what it is with McAllister. He's mentally checked out of the club. Onapermo says Hearts just got beat 4-2 by Rangers. Hearts will not win the SPL this season. They've bowled it. And Ashish says, I don't know, but no one can hate Liverpool, mate. They represent England in the Champions League, unlike United. And Onapermo says, just wait till Berta's come to Celtic Park next. Hearts did do better this year, but both Celtic and Rangers were extremely poor at the start. Hearts are only top on consistency from the beginning. They don't have the quality or depth to win the SPL. I'd love it if they did, though. Here's Rasmus Højlund. Good defending from Roma. Napoli starting to get a little bit more up the pitch. Overlaps there. Oh, unlucky. Ferguson must still be injured. Yeah, Ferguson out. Claim for the penalty. You're not going to get a penalty for that. Never a penalty for Napoli. But there was a bit of a claim. Yeah, Vergara, Politano and Højlund are the front three for Napoli. Lukaku is on the bench, but no McTominay, no De Bruyne, no David Neres. And for Roma, no Dybala, no Dovbyk, no Ferguson, no Kone, no Hermoso, and no El Shaarawy. So Roma definitely missing some players as well, it's fair to say. Cheers, Shell. Thank you very much. How is Kevin playing? No, Kevin. Kevin's not on tonight. Brain loading. Where's that white Juventus from? They're all real tops, mate. There's no blag tops there. That one's from 2008. Roma get it away. Anya says, how can he mentally check out? Is it that he wants to leave? I'm surprised. He was very good last season. I think he has. I think he's decided that he wants to leave and he's mentally not, fully there this season. He's not really committed to the cause. I genuinely think he's been like a pub player all season. He's been so poor, McAllister. It's not just been one or two bad games. It's been the vast majority... Excuse me, the vast majority of his performances have been poor. Marlon! Oh, it's 1-0! Roman have scored! What a finish that is as well. We said Daniel Marlon would be a player that would be, sparking the trend in terms of Roma leading the line, and he was the guy who would be causing all the danger tonight. And there you go, Napoli. They've started slow, and Roma have stuck it in. Daniel Marlon with the goal. Great finish. What a cross in as well. Cross in from the right-hand side. Fabulous finish. And it's Napoli 0, Roma 1. We've got a goal. Fast start in this game. I told you, 2-2. Who's the ball from down the right-hand side? Is it Pellegrini? It's a great ball, that, into the channel. Lovely ball into the channel. Marlon. Great run. Brian with the pass. Brian Zaragoza. He's rapidly... growing in confidence as well. Brian Zaragoza, he's on loan at Roma from Bayern Munich to the end of the season. He hasn't yet played, I don't think he's played for Bayern. But a very, very talented player. And he gets an assist there. Manchester United fan says, what are Villa going to do with him next season? I think they've sold him, haven't they? Isn't Marlon already like a fully fledged Roma player? Thought there was an obligation to buy him in the loan. He's got 3 goals in 4 games for Roma, and I'm not sure he'll want to go back. Glover says, Wigan absolutely robbed today. Fed up of officials wanting Arsenal to win. Ashish says, bro, you assured me that Arsenal won't win the league 2 months ago. I still don't think they will. I still do not think they will. Shell says, Roma's kit is awful colours. I really like this version of Roma's kit. I've got the old one here, actually. Funnily enough, I got it before. I got it out before. The old Roma kit with Totti on the back. Totti 10. The old Roma kit. But this is like proper old school. This is like well back in the day. But I like the newer Roma kit. Thoughts on QPR? I mean, you're one of about 50 teams, it feels like, in the Championship that could maybe make a late push for the playoffs. If you get your act together. You're only like 4 or 5 points off the playoffs. But I don't think QPR can get in the playoffs. I wouldn't say that. I think you're... Yeah, bit of a mixed bag at the minute, QPR. Under the Floodlight says, Villa let that man leave in January. Crazy. Adam says, was there an Arsenal hate watch today? Oh, we certainly watched an Arsenal game today. Yeah, we watched Arsenal-Wigan. We'll be watching Wolves against Arsenal on Thursday night as well. Claim for a foul from Højlund. You're not getting that. And Brendan says, I thought you've been saying Arsenal will win the league. No, I said they've got to win the league. They've got to win the league, but I don't think they will. Or I didn't think they would. Anyway, we said that Ashish a few months ago, didn't we? Madhouse says, I love the old Fiorentina kit, Battistuta. I've got that one behind me as well, I think, haven't I? Yeah, there you go. Got the old Fiorentina kit just behind me there. Magnus, what match are you watching? We're watching Napoli against Roma. Just couldn't get the ball to Højlund. Højlund already looking quite isolated in this game. Already looks like he's not going to get too many chances today. It's 1-0 to Roma already, mate. 10 minutes in. Napoli 0, Roma 1. Vergara again gets crowded out, but he just manages to keep hold of it. Back to Elmas, back to Lobotka. Lobotka over to the left-hand side. Spinazzola. It's gone out for the throw-in. Roma manager is great tactically, yeah. Piero Gasperini, from his time at Atalanta. Everyone remembers him from Atalanta. He's been a really, really good manager for him. Onapermo says, seen both the Celtic and Rangers games versus Roma, and it was men against boys. And Julia says, I've missed the first 10 minutes doing a football quiz. How's the game been? Been very good. Yeah, it's been all right so far. We've got a goal. Roma scoring early on. Daniel Marlon putting him in front. Ginnis, how many games do you watch a day? Sometimes 3. Most of the time, just 1. 1 or 2, usually. Yeah. But every day, at least 1 every day. Usually on a weekend, we'll do like 3 on a Saturday, 3 on a Sunday together. But we always watch at least 1 together, and we do a quiz. We generally just talk. It's kind of a bit unstructured, really. We'll just talk about whatever the chat wants to talk about on that night. So, like, we've been talking about Forest and whether Sean Dyche deserved to be sacked. We've talked about Vitor Pereira coming in. Will he save Forest? We've talked about the Tottenham decision to let Well, the Tottenham decision to let Ange go originally, obviously with the whole interview that he did with Sky, was that justified? Has it proven Ange right in many senses that Spurs have maybe not lived their motto of order est facere, to dare is to do? They've not really lived that, and they've kind of gone against their values as a club by sacking managers so easily and not backing them in the market. They've got rid of Nuno too quickly. They've got rid of Ange too quickly. They've maybe, you could argue, got rid of Conte too quickly. And now they've moved on Thomas Frank maybe too quickly. And now they've got Igor Tudor into the end of the season. And that's probably because there was nobody else available. There was no other managers available. Absolutely no other manager available, I think, that would take the job to the end of the season. I think that's why Igor Tudor is Spurs manager right now. Adam Angelo says, new Spurs manager has a worse achievement. Has worse achievements as Spurs, so will fit in quick. To be honest, I just think he's only there to kind of keep the job warm. I don't think it's his effort, his intent to keep the job beyond the summer. He will go there for 6 months, and I think Spurs already have the intention of appointing a manager that's only available at the end of the season. And that there's a lot of managers that fall into that category, isn't there? Glasner has said he only wants to look at other jobs from the summer. Pochettino, after the World Cup, after he's managed USA. Iraola's contract is up in the summer, of course. So there's quite a few. Adam says 11 clubs in 10 years explains a lot. I know. Listen, managers move around quite a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean they're bad managers. It doesn't necessarily make him a bad manager. It just means he's not a manager that's a long-term solution at a lot of clubs. Some manager, that can be a really, really important job. Someone who just kind of, you can parachute in, do a job for a bit, and they look at Gus Hiddink. Gus Hiddink did a wonderful job at Chelsea. He was only there 6 months. Won an FA Cup. Napoli headed away. Strike. Oh, good effort. Reece says, thoughts on the sports day mentality nonsense of 7th and 8th becoming good enough from a playoff race in the Championship from next season. More games, more drama, and ultimately more money to be made. Yeah, not a fan of that. Honor Permo says, Key is the best neutral watch-along, dude. Yay! Cheers, man. Thank you. Honor Permo says, change from Napoli kit after he went that 1-0 down, Julius. Adam says, Spurs job is like the England job, impossible. They even Jose couldn't win there. It is a difficult job, Spurs. It's a very difficult job, but I think Igor Tudor could come in and get a tune out of him. They've got a good squad. It's not like Spurs have got a bad squad. They can go in and maybe they can thrive in the Cup, in the Champions League. It really wouldn't surprise many if Spurs went quite far in that competition, quite deep, and got maybe to a semi or maybe a final. Maybe they won it. Who knows? Wouldn't be a terrible surprise. If you're good in European competition, as Spurs were last year, it wasn't that long ago that Spurs got to a European final, of course, a Champions League final. Wouldn't be a terrible surprise if they won it. Brendan says, has Glasner damaged himself? He's come across arrogant, as if he thinks Palace are beneath him. Are Spurs big enough to satisfy his ego? Is that... Well, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, mate. I think Oliver Glasner seems a... I don't know if... I think he seems quite a humble guy. Maybe I've got him wrong. I don't know. It could be. I might have got him wrong. I actually think Oliver Glasner seems a really likeable, down-to-earth fella. Halcon FP says, odds on Spurs getting relegated. I think Spurs aren't getting relegated. Nah, Spurs aren't getting relegated. Not even close. Simon, I think it's hilarious how people say Lee Gunner uses Arsenal for clout. He's an Arsenal fan, though, isn't he? He's an Arsenal fan, Lee Gunner, isn't he? Sure he is. Honor Permo says, I don't think Glasner has damaged himself. I think Crystal Palace have shown they don't have any ambition. Well, that's true enough. That's also very true. Shay, I don't think you'll find any top manager that hasn't got an ego in some sort of way. True enough. And Onopermo says, it's Palace that are coming out of this on the bad end, sold all the best players when they're competing at the top end of the table. Of course, Glasner's going to be mad. I think that's what he wanted, though, isn't it? He basically said, look, I'll happily stay, like I want to stay, but surely it makes sense. We've just got this wonderful, not a small club, but we've just got this wonderful club into Europe for the very first time. Surely now is the time where you like throw a load of money at it and let's try and kick on. Because if we go and throw a bit of money at it, we might yet break into the top 4. We might be able to do something. Because if Eze and Gay and you know, Mateta and all these players, maybe even Elise if they'd have done it a bit sooner. Wharton for certain. Oh, Marlon's in again here. Marlon, can he get a shot away? Does well. Oh, unlucky. Good effort, Marlon. Nearly 2-0 Roma. Yeah, if they'd have thrown some real money at it, Palace, they might have been competing in the top 4, top 5. They had a great team. And they could have convinced those players to stay, but that's what Glasner lost his mind with, was that he's got players getting sold from underneath him. I can understand why he's frustrated. Madhouse says, Lee Gunner makes me laugh. Everything frustrates him. Come on, Roma, says Julius. Well, it's Napoli 0, Roma 1. Roma now playing on the counter-attack and doing so quite effectively. Daniel Marlon has had a couple of chances on the break. Roma look the more likely to add a second, if anything. But Napoli starting to maybe get their foot on the ball and force Roma back a bit more. Wesley's a very good player down this left-hand side. I really like Wesley. Wesley Franca. Onopermo says, sold her players that are now all at maybe top 5 clubs in the world. Eze, Gay, Elise, yeah. Wharton probably will be as well, won't he? Mateta, you know, wouldn't be a surprise if Mateta ends up at like a Milan or somewhere like that in the summer. Brendan says, maybe I've got it wrong, but just think Palace have made Glasner as much as he's made them. A club like Palace are always going to have their best players poached. That's just the reality. I think it is the reality, but is there not an element of when you, as a club, are able to achieve like a... If as a football club you achieve something that's so beyond what everyone expected, like Palace winning the FA Cup, that's like a... Is it like a canon moment? Like a lifetime defining moment for the club that it can change everything. So I agree, Palace are always going to have their best players poached. But if you win that tournament, you become a team that in the eyes of others can compete for tournaments. You become a lot more attractive to other players. You become more attractive to the players that have stayed, are at the club. Your best players are more likely to stay. And you've got European football. And if the club did ever have any ambitions of making Palace any more than what they are, at that point, that would have been the time to move the needle. That is when you invest. That is when you throw money at it, because you're doing so from a position of strength. And you're always meant to invest from a position of strength. Never invest from a position of weakness. Always from a position of strength. And if you do that, and Palace might have then been able to kick on and get the Champions League. Maybe they wouldn't. But worst case, they'd have still been in a much stronger position than they are now. And instead, what they're in is all the best players have gone. The manager's gone. Where'd you go now? Andrew says, did you see the Inter match? I didn't see the Inter match. No, I watched the highlights. I know Inter won late on against Juve. We're doing Napoli against Roma now. But I was watching Liverpool-Brighton last night. So no, I didn't watch the game. Onopermo says Newcastle were there 10 years ago, Championship. Now they're a competing Champions League team. I just think, yeah, sometimes you can have that like big moment as a club that can just change everything. BRP for life. Are you that guy that's obsessed with Arsenal? No, you're thinking of someone else, mate. That's not me. 3-star says Forest, I'm afraid we'll have to do the same next season, even if we stay up. Sad, innit? You're going to lose all your best players next season, Forest. Maybe, yeah. you've got to kind of start again. It's sad, really, because again, if you had the opportunity to sell him now from a position of strength, you could have. How much could you get for Murillo 12 months ago, off the back of that season? I think you could have got 100 million for Murillo 12 months ago. I think now you're looking at 60. Morgan Gibbs White, you could have got probably 70, 80 million for him. Again, you're looking at 50, 60 now. Anderson, you probably could have got 100 million 12 months ago. I don't think he goes for anywhere close. I think it's maybe 70. 70, maybe 80 at a push. Clarkey, are we doing a halftime quiz? Always, yeah. We're doing our halftime quiz, as you know it. We always do. Unless it's like an 8:15 kickoff and we've got other games going on during the halftime interval. But Brendan, in the short term maybe, but in the long term you're always just looking for Prem stability. Blackburn, Portsmouth, Wigan, Leicester all had similar periods and all fell into the trap. They had periods of buying really poorly though, didn't they? I think that's like Brighton and Brentford and to some extent, well, you can't really say Everton, but Brighton and Brentford are prime examples of clubs who've come up and stabilised and taken risks but done so in an appropriate way. And yeah, I don't know. I think Portsmouth tried too much too quickly. Wigan just kept selling. Wigan's winning the FA Cup. That wasn't that they were already on a path downhill. They got relegated the same year they won it, didn't they? Pretty much. So, yeah, Wigan were already pretty much gone. Leicester just had terrible signings. They didn't do their homework with the players that they sold. Look at who they replaced them with: Islam Slimani, Nampalis Mendy. You know, a lot of the Ayoze Perez, like a lot of the players that Leicester signed, just were not good enough. Just nowhere near good enough. Unknown says, what happened to Maka? He was my favourite player last season. I think his head's gone, mate. I think he wants to leave. Andrew says, I follow Wigan. When we won the FA Cup, it caused us to struggle. Yeah. I mean, you won. You were already struggling. You were already on the way down, weren't you, before you even won the FA Cup? That Wigan squad was long past its sell-by date. Onapermo was just about to say that, Key. They were buying players in names rather than form and quality. Yeah, and you could also say that I think Blackburn, like, I'm just looking at the names, like Portsmouth, Wigan, Leicester, Blackburn. Portsmouth fell into bad ownership. That wasn't anything to do with the football inside, was it? They had the ownership issue and it became really messy, and that's what ended up taking Portsmouth down. Wigan, they were already down by the time they won the FA Cup. Leicester, just terrible transfer business. And Blackburn, they were a really solid side under Mark Hughes. But it was always less about the ability of the players, wasn't it? I mean, they had Roque Santa Cruz doing really well. And then once they sold him, they just never really replaced him, sadly. Again, it's just good work in the transfer market and doing the homework on him. Unknown says, Gakpo has made me swear quite a lot recently. I like Gakpo. I've got a lot of time for Gakpo. I don't mind him. Next year, FC says we were 6th when Venkis took over, then they sacked Big Sam. See, I was going back even further. I was going back to your Mark Hughes days. But yeah, Venkis, again, another ownership issue. Another ownership issue. Very sad. Brendan said, I know they had periods of buying poorly, but any club that throws money out has periods of buying poorly. Top 6 included. True enough. Difference is the big clubs can bounce back, other clubs can sink. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a valid point. It's not a bad point. I get it. But you want to see the team kick on and really try and build off the back of it. And, you know, I'm not saying that they can punch with the heavyweights or anything like that, but, you know, try and sustain it a little bit longer. Try and make it sustainable. Not so much where you're taking massive risks, but where you're taking real educated risks on certain players and doing your homework on them. Brighton have been fantastic at that. How many great players have Brighton lost and they've just gone out and bought another one? they're just so smart with it. That's a foul, ref. That's a foul and a yellow card. I'm pretty sure Roma have got a free kick here. Next year says 200 million in debt and they refuse to sell. Tax write-off maybe. How have they been allowed to stay? It's sad. I like Blackburn a lot. And again, you're probably a team that there's a chance you go down to League One this season the way things are going. But I really would. You weren't that far off the playoffs last year, were you? I'd like to see Blackburn come up again. I'd like to see Wood Park back in the Prem. Shay says, who do you think will be the next club to come up to the Prem and solidify themselves there for a couple of years? The Brentfords, Brightons and Fulhams have all done. Oh, like Brentford, Brighton and Fulham have all done. Are you talking a club with good ownership, aren't you? A real solid... Do you know what? Honestly, maybe Middlesbrough. Maybe Middlesbrough. If they come up via the playoffs or via the automatics, I think Borough could stay up for a little bit. They play good football, Borough. I don't think Coventry... Ipswich just seem like another yo-yo club, if I'm really honest. Ipswich are so inconsistent under Kieran McKenna. Unknowns, as I say it a lot, but I really want Adam Wharton. He's so good on the ball. I like Adam Wharton too, but I don't know if he's a Liverpool signing, mate. I think we need... Or I don't think he's the one that Arne Slot is looking at. I think Arne Slot is probably wanting a little bit more of a destroyer. Someone who's a bit more physical than Adam Wharton. He's very good on the ball, though. I like him. Reece said, Rovers decline. Squirrely rest at the feet of the clueless owners. Venky's Indian poultry farmers who needed to be told that relegation existed. It's been hilarious over the years. But now maybe Burnley might well be next. Yeah. And Clarkey says Michael O'Neill, Blackburn manager and Northern Ireland manager. Michael O'Neill, yeah. Ball over to the right-hand side. Chelik over to Wesley. Roma now looking to drive forward. It's a great pass from Wesley. What a player he is, by the way. Good strike, just wide. He's unbelievable, Wesley. I think he could be a great player to come to the Premier League. Pisilli with a strike just wide. But a good pass from Wesley, the left-back. Brendan says, yeah, but Brighton aren't buying at the top end of the market. They just seem to have unbelievable scouting and recruitment. It must be the groundwork you put in. It's very data-led, isn't it, with Brighton? That's kind of the trick, and you've got some losses as well within that. They've taken some gambles on players who are really, really at the lower end of the market. They signed a player from Derby for 9 million quid. We talked about this on yesterday's stream, I think. 9 million quid they signed him for Derby, and apparently everyone, like scouts and everything, warned him off him and said, it's a waste of money, I promise you, don't buy him. I think he was 22, 23 at the time they signed him, and he's not kicked a ball for Brighton. They paid 9 million for him, hasn't kicked a ball for Brighton. He's gone out on loan twice, and it's probably going to be a write-off. But they paid 9 million quid for him. Next year says the fact that Venky's kicked Morgan Gamps Pedersen out and said he was too old at 31 still triggers me. And Richard says, I see Adam Wharton's contract extension 3 years. I bet that's to get so much money for him. Apparently, isn't there an end of the season buyout clause with Adam Wharton? I'm sure it's 60 million quid. I'm sure it's 60 million quid. Vladimir Putina says Arsenal will win the Premier League. Anna Permo says sold the players that are now all maybe top 5. Yeah. What are we up to? Brendan, Jake, shall we play Forest next? Who do you think will be the next club to come up? Normal guy. What are we up to? Starting. I don't know what you've said, normal guy. I can't see what you said, mate. It's to get heating a little bit in this game. Onapermo says getting a bit scattergun for Brighton right now then, yeah. And do you think Balaba's price will drop now? Keys had an awful season. He was always going to drop. 100 million quid United put a bid in for him. Or that's what Brighton said they wanted, which I kind of get the logic of because he was the next Caicedo and he came in and had an amazing season. But his price is tanked now. And would United or anyone else be interested in him? It just goes to show you that. It's how fickle football is, because if you paid 80 million for Baleba last summer, everyone would have said, United have got to steal, he's an absolute monster. Just changes the optics now, doesn't it? That he stayed at Brighton, and, you know, Fabian Hürzeler, they're 1 win in 13 now, Brighton. The boos are starting to ring around the Amex for him. He's started to get a little bit of criticism, and he's pulled Baleba off the pitch about 3 or 4 times at half time this season. Like, he's been that bad, he's took him off at half time. I think he's throwing the towel in as well. A bit like McAllister at Liverpool, if I'm being dead honest. Onyé says, hot take, every mid-table club should copy Brighton and Bournemouth's model. Bournemouth too, yeah. Next year says 20% of that goes to Blackburn's owners' pockets. And Onyé says he has a gentleman's agreement to leave at the end of the season for 60 million, I'm sure. I thought that too. Q-World, do you think Arsenal will beat City in the final? You could flip a coin. Both very good sides. The best attack in the league versus the best defence. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see. Next year says Palace would get more than 60 million for Wharton, plus 20% of that goes to Blackburn. It's hardly profit. No, well, apparently that is the agreement at the end of the season. I've heard that too. That seems to be the rumour doing the rounds, that he's already got an agreement in place. A little bit like McAllister had with Brighton. I think we signed him for 40-something million in the end from Brighton because he stayed a bit longer. Like, there was rumours that he was going to go and he ended up staying a bit longer. And it's the same with Wharton. I think he could have gone last summer and instead he stuck around with Palace. Did we not hear that with Harry Kane? Well, yeah. I mean, we could. I don't know. Like I said, it might be no truth to it at all. I'm not saying it's absolute certainty, but I'm just saying it seems to be the case that, yeah, the established sort of reports coming out, there's an awful lot of consistency to the 60 million number. I don't know exactly where it's come from. Ryan says, hi, key breaking news. Sean Dyche, you contender to replace Burnley. Ooh, can't see Sean Dyche going back to Burnley. Wesley with a shot, unlucky. And now back to Pisili. Roma looking to get that second and kill the game off, you know. Honor Permo says, I'm surprised Hürzeler is still in the job, to be honest. I like Fabian Hürzeler. He's still only 32. You got to remember, young manager. Really, really young manager. Good manager. Done well since he's gone in. Not sure he's really the problem at Brighton. I think what they've done there is they've tried to... Not that you can't win anything with kids, but you've got to try and get some experience in there, and they've not got enough experience in there at the minute. Madhouse says United have bought plenty of bums recently. Onyé says, I'm still open on Baleba, but I know he's been poor this year, but he runs the midfield very well. I mean, listen, they need an awful lot of energy in that midfield for United to be the team that they can be. They're going to need someone who can carry that midfield and really drive them forward. Baleba fits the bill, but he just gives the ball away so cheaply. He's so cheap in possession. Normal Guy says, I like Roma's play style so far. They're very good. Yeah, they've done well. I had Napoli to pick up a result tonight, but more and more it's looking like a Roma win. Clarkey says, I wouldn't waste my time at Nottingham Forest. Chairman seems to be a prick. And Onyé says, at United, they turn over the ball too much. I reckon he'd be more valuable than an Anderson or a Wharton. That's what a lot of managers seem to be looking for. They're looking more for a Baleba profile than a Wharton or an Anderson. All talented players, but they're looking more for a destroyer. It feels like someone who can just got legs for days and will run and run and run. Should have signed Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Scoring on his debut for Celtic, eh? Unbelievable stuff. Yeah, I just think Wharton's a really talented player, but he's not really got the legs. I don't know if he's got the energy to play for the Liverpool or the United. Not in a 2 anyway. Not in a 2 for United. He'd get ran all over the pitch. Baleba could do though. Shay says apparently our whole summer transfer window is going to be a revamp in the midfield. But you only play with 2 midfielders, don't you? I mean, who else are you going to get? Let's say you get rid of Agate. Maybe you get rid of Fernandes. You've got Mainu. Maybe you keep all the Casemiro. I don't know. Casemiro seems to be doing quite well recently. I do reckon Wharton would do great at Liverpool. McAllister and Szoboszlai. Wharton, McAllister, He's got to replace McAllister in that, hasn't he? Got to replace Macca. Shay says, I reckon United will get Anderson and Wharton. Can't see you getting both. And I think you'd have to get Champions League football for that to happen, which I don't see happening. But, yeah, even then, it's a lot of money, that. Reece says, we shouldn't go to Dyche. You wouldn't go back to an old romantic after 4 years, would you? ALK wanted their man when they came in with their trust between them and Dyche now. Dyche isn't going to Burnley. I think any manager who goes to Burnley at this point, surely, absolutely surely, it has to be someone who's planning for the Championship. Surely they'll hire someone who's coming in to actually just want to build something again in the Championship. Like, I don't get why any manager's going to Burnley now. No offence, Reece, but surely no manager's going to Burnley thinking I can keep him up. Is there any Burnley fan who really thinks there's a realistic proposition of Burnley staying up? I can't see it. So I think any manager who goes in is going to be thinking, right, next season, how can we get this team back in the Premier League? Shell says, come on, Roma, we need a second. And Hannah, how's it going, Hannah? Good to see you. Anya says, I meant Gravenberg, not McAllister, my bad. Where are you from? I am from the northwest of England. Where are you from? Jake says, Key, you're only 300 subs away from 15k. Wow. I know, doing well. Doing good, I'm really amazed. Oh, what a strike, what a goal! Napoli 1-1. What a strike that is. Absolute screamer. Oh, it takes a bit of a deflection, but don't take it away from him. That is some strike. Absolute worldie. Who does it deflect off, this one? It's an absolute worldie of a strike, that. I think it's Spinazzola who has the effort, but it just dips and the keeper can't get it. It's 30 yards out. An absolute rocket from Spinazzola. Hannah says, I am from Sweden, but I live in Spain. Lovely. I'm moving to Spain with a bit of luck. Hopefully moving to Spain soon. One of my favourite places in the world is Seville. And I was in Malmo last year as well. So there you go. We've got that in common, Hannah. Burnley's recruitment in the summer was absolutely horrible. In my opinion, Broja, Ward-Prowse is dreadful, to be honest. Yeah, it was a bit scattergun, wasn't it? Were in Spain. No idea yet. No idea. Maybe anywhere along that south coast. Somewhere Cadiz, all the way over to Valencia. You never know. I don't know. I have no idea. We might not even be in Spain. It might be. We've looked at Italy. We've looked at Spain. We've looked at Germany. We've looked at Croatia. We'll see. But I'd like it to be Spain. Honor Permo says, we'll all help your move to Spain, Key. Well, do you know what I need your understanding that maybe I might not be able to stream for one night because I'm going to be travelling down there. I literally have to drive from the UK over to Spain or wherever we end up going. Cecil, how's it going, mate? Good to see you. Did you enjoy your favourites Arsenal winning 4-0? Loved it. Yeah, loved it. Quadruple gets closer and closer. Inevitable. It's inevitable. Hannah, I played in Rosengard, which is in Malmo. Lovely. Well, I went to Copenhagen and I got the train over to Malmo and I went to the Disgusting Food Museum in Malmo. HK, hello mate, good to see you. Was away for a bit, good lad. Shay says part-timer taking a night off. Yeah, that's the only thing I need your understanding on. Because at the minute, I've literally got as my headline on YouTube that I watch football with you every day. And that, whatever, I'm going to try and make it on a day where there's like basically no footy on. But I'm going to be like, right, we'll get up early, we'll drive, and we'll stop at an Airbnb maybe in France. And I will stream from the Airbnb. Brendan says, not stream for one night so you can move your family. Bit selfish, isn't it? No, it is a little bit selfish, but it's one of them. It's so important. It's mega, mega important. It's like, I don't... Nah, honestly, there's absolutely no way that I will, I'll not have... I'm not having a night off. If I can avoid it, I'll try and do still one every single day, even while we're moving. We're going to stop regularly along the way so that I can stream a game. That is the whole point. Clarky says Copenhagen is in Denmark. It is, yeah, but you can get a train across from Denmark into Malmo. It's not very far. Hannah, I play in Spain now. I love that. That's brilliant. That's great, Hannah. Player for Real Madrid. Amazing. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it in I loved it in Denmark. It was cool in Malmo too. Cecil says, didn't you stream for a year straight every day? You can't break the streak. Well, ish. I didn't stream every single day. There were a couple of days where I didn't stream. One being I had a power cut on January the 2nd this year. So January the 2nd this year I didn't stream. We were meant to do an Italian game in that one. I think it was meant to do like Juventus against Pisa, I think it was. Something like that. And I couldn't do it because the power cut went out and I literally couldn't do it. I had no internet, no power, no nothing. But I have streamed pretty much consistently every day since the start of the channel. Thomas says, what do you think about the problems at Olympique de Marseille? What problems are we referring to specifically? Obviously, Mehdi Benatia has resigned as director of football, but what problems are you referring to? On a Permo says, absolutely no care or thought about his second family in that decision, Brett. Exactly. I've got to do it. Madhouse says, are you a Magaluf guy, Key? I've never been. Can't say I've ever been. Yeah, it's not really my scene. You've got to think, mate, epileptic. There's no way I can do Magaluf, let's be honest. There's no way I can go to the strip. I was never that guy. Jake, I'm going to Spain in the summer. Lovely. On a Permo says she lets him watch retro Arsenal vids in bed. Retro Arsenal vids in bed. Reese says, bloody hell, mate, even if you didn't for a month, none of us would care. Oh, thanks. Cheers, Reese. Cheers. You've got us all hooked. Don't overcook the pressure on yourself. You've already taken on so many. No, I've got to keep doing it. That's the plan. That is the plan. Hannah says, man rides a train under the Orsund Bridge. Is that where it was? I remember going over the bridge. Small World Lifter says Roma are going to win 30 minutes before the match. Bucks pulled the lines on McTominay and also Vergara. Shay says, where did you ever go on your first ever lads holiday, Key? I've never really had a lads holiday. I have had a lads holiday. That's a lie. But it wasn't really a lads holiday. I was a sales manager and I took my sales team to Amsterdam. And then we took them to Vegas the year after. So we did Amsterdam, we did Vegas, we did Krakow. I went to Krakow again for my stag do as well. So yeah, I've been all over Europe. But they're not really lads holidays necessarily because it was employees. But I was a sales manager and I took my sales team there because they hit target. It was all good. Tom, it's not scapegoated. Gakpo is terrible. He's nowhere near Diaz's level. They've just got different strengths, mate. You've got to remember that. Different strengths. Diaz is flying with Bayern, pal. Yeah, but it's the Bundesliga. You get loads of time. You get absolutely loads of time. Cecil says, BBC Alba got rights for Serie A and brought back the Football Italia theme from the 90s. So much nostalgia. Love that. Yeah, Amsterdam. The old blue light district. Get in the blue light district. On a Permo says, first lads holiday for me was 18 to Amsterdam. Total culture shock. Two minutes from the red light. Yeah, us too. Tell you where we stayed, and I think you're probably still there. The Globe, it's called. The Globe Hostel in Amsterdam. Well cool. Bring on United says, hey man, good game for you dudes yesterday. Yes. Cheers, man. Bring on United. Good to see you. Anya says, credit their recruitment has been amazing this year. And Tom says, Gakpo isn't nowhere near a starter. The sooner people realise that, the better. But he is a starter right now, Tom. I don't know what you're complaining for. He is a starter right now. He is the best that we have. That's the fact. And that's not on Arne Slot. That is the fact of the matter. It's half-time. And it's Roma 1. It's Napoli 1. Roma 1. Anya says, no disrespect to Bundesliga, but I reckon Agate would look like Caicedo there. True. It's very true. The Bundesliga is just one of them leagues where you thrive pretty much easily, I would say. Right. Half-time quiz. Half-time quiz. HK says, Key, did you see that Vallecano smoked Atleti? That team is bipolar as hell, man. I did, yes. Honor Permo says, we were in youth hostel meeting point on Wormerstraat Street, oldest street in the Dam. Nice. Errol Graham, you're a Liverpool fan? I am, yeah. Jake Key, why are you saying bring on United? Ain't you supposed to hate them? That's the name of his channel, mate. Bring on United. Tom Engamoa is so better. He scored. No, he didn't. No, he didn't score. He didn't score. If he scored, then Gakpo scored, didn't he? Reece says, what would appeal about a new life in Germany? I feel like, to quote your phrase, that would be the nearest thing to swapping apples with apples between there and the UK. Similar culture, similar climate. Well, listen, I'll be honest, mate. We've got a very open mind. We just don't want to be here. So I think that's the thing. We know what we don't want, and we're very open to everywhere else. We're very lovely, welcoming, nice people. And we know there's a lot of wonderful places out there where we can live out our days in happiness and harmony and contribute and all that stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of beautiful places across Europe. We've seen a lot of beautiful places across Europe which we could go to. So we'll see. We'll see. Brendan says Amsterdam and Vegas with work. What an awful idea. Must have raised a few eyebrows in HR. We didn't have a HR team. Yeah, we didn't have a HR team. We just had two directors who were very... they'd look the other way. I guess. And yeah, there was some very peculiar things went on that trip. Yeah, I could tell some stories. Me getting drunk at 4 a.m. in the morning and getting a tattoo on the strip in Las Vegas. Which I still have right now, by the way. And it's off. I'm not even going to show it you. But it doesn't actually say what I wanted it to say. I don't even know what it said, but I paid $400 for it. Who thought having a 24-hour tattoo shop on the strip in Vegas would be a good idea? Shay, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unless you get a tattoo. Yeah. Tom says, yet again, you watch Cody score and you think he's brilliant. I didn't say he was brilliant. But you're saying Rio Engamoa was better because he scored. He didn't score. Gakpo didn't score. But if you're saying that Engamoa did, then Gakpo did, didn't he? Come on, Tom. Anya, he says people forget at the time that Diaz wanted like 250k a week and Liverpool couldn't pay that. That's true. Yeah. Tom, I'd rather watch someone get to the byline and cross. But no wingers do that, mate. Salah doesn't do that, does he? Salah doesn't do that. Brendan says two directors who were lads, go get the bloke. It's true. It is there. That is exactly what they were. They were very, very bad directors, let's be honest. Unless it's the film What Happens in Vegas. Yeah, no. On a Permo, so that's how you got that North London Forever tattoo. Tom says Salah played well better. He was okay. He was a little bit better, but he was still miles off it. The reality is, I don't think Gakpo or Salah are right for a team that is actually going to compete in a title race, but I think they can both be very good squad players for us. Clarky, I think Liverpool players are lazy on the ball. I don't think it's laziness. Anyway, listen, we're doing the quiz. Let's do the quiz. I've got quizzes for you. Right. Halftime quiz. Halftime quiz. Here we go. So, I want you to tell me, if you can, given that we're watching Napoli against Roma, the top 20 Italians by number of appearances in the Premier League. The top 20 Italians by number of appearances in the Premier League. Get your answers in the chat. Jorginho, says Benny Blanco. Yep, Jorginho is third. He had 196. Balotelli is 18th. Correct. Not Mancini. No, Hernan Crespo is Argentinian. Lagermanden. And who else are we looking at? Zola. Gianfranco Zola is first with 229. Yes. Tonali, 17th. Who else? Vicario. Yeah, Vicario is 13th. Good answer. Zola we've got. Nonto. Not Nonto, no. Balotelli, we've already got. Balotelli, Tonali, Vicario, Jorginho, and Zola. They are the ones we've got so far. Di Matteo. Yes, Roberto Di Matteo is right. Di Matteo is 9th. Matteo Darmian, no. Arguieta? Who's Arguieta? No, Darmian's not in there, and whoever Arguieta is. Di Canio. Paolo Di Canio is 190 appearances. He's 4th. Inzaghi never played in the Premier League. 2 sides, but I like the thinking. Joe Cole. Shell Balotelli we've already got. Massimo Macaroni, says Fru, yeah. Massimo Macaroni is 16th. Antonio Candreva never played in the Premier League. Arteta is not Italian. Carlo Cudicini's a good answer though. Carlo Cudicini is 6th. McTominay, not Italian. Chiesa, no. Not Chiesa. Emerson Palmieri. Yes, Emerson is 8th. Colaccini is Argentinian. He's an honorary Italian now. Well, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 11 left to go. Candreva had 153 games at West Ham. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Cudicini, we've got. Good answer on a Permo, but we've got him. Vialli. R.I.P. Yeah, not Vialli. No, not Vialli. Benito Carboni is correct. Why are you spelling Benito like that, James? It's not Bonito, it's Benito. Who the hell's Bonito Carboni, James? Who's that? It's Carboni in 5th. Gabriel Paletta is Argentinian. I mean, I know he kind of transitioned to Italian, but he's not included in the list anyway because he only played about 4 games for Liverpool in the Premier League anyway. Sandro Tonali we've got. Graziano Pella is 19th. Correct. Good answer. Caligula. Not Makeda. Jorginho we've already got. He was 3rd. Yeah, he was 3rd. So you've currently got Zola, Jorginho, Di Canio, Carboni, Cudicini, Emerson, Di Matteo, Vicario, Macaroni, Tonali, Balotelli, and Pella. Claudio Ranieri never played in the Prem. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left to get. And one of them is the second highest. Destiny Udogie. Destiny Udogie is right. He's 20th with 66 appearances. Caballero is Argentinian, Chimey. Destiny Udogie we've got. James, it is pronounced George Jinho. No, it's not, mate. It's Jorginho, and it's definitely spelt Benito Carboni, just FYI. Yeah. Angelo Ogbonna says through, yeah. Angelo Ogbonna is second, 201, appearances. Pistoni, Alessandro Pistoni, ex-Everton. I thought Shell might have got that one. Alessandro Pistoni is 7th with 149 appearances, so you've now got the top 9. Still got to get 10. Not Manolo Gabbiadini, but I like the thinking. It's not Gabbiadini. Not Ravanelli, he would have been 21st. Morata is Spanish, Brendan. Not Ravanelli, no. I'll give you some clues if you're ready for them. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left to get. So you've got 15 out of 20. There's 5 left to get. You've got 1 goalkeeper. An Italian goalkeeper in the Premier League. Not Willy Nonto. Davide Santon is correct. Yeah, Davide Santon is the Newcastle fullback. 15th. Fabio Barini says through. Correct. He's 10th. You've got 1, 2, 3 left to get now. One of them is a goalkeeper. The other 2 are defenders. And the defenders, none of them played for top 6 clubs. In fact, the vast majority of their appearances were for clubs that are no longer in the Premier League. There's a clue. The 2 defenders that you've got left, the vast majority of their appearances were for clubs no longer in the Premier League. The goalkeeper did play for a top 6 club, though. And I think he might still be around somewhere. Not Massimo Taibbi. No, didn't play in the Premier League very long. Found him out quite quickly. Cudicini, we've already got, James. Gianluca Festa. There you go, up the borough. Gianluca Festa is 11th with 100 Premier League appearances. 1 more left to get. Played for Derby. Derby County player. Not Gazzaniga. I think Gazzaniga is Argentinian as well. You need an Italian goalkeeper who did play for the top 6 side. Spent most of his time playing for other teams in the Premier League, but he definitely played for the top 6 side. Not Gabbiadini, and it's Gabbiadini. Yeah, no, it's Gabbiadini, James, but it's not Gabbiadini. Stefano Akaka. No, not Akaka. Dylan, what's your prediction for Macclesfield tomorrow night? I think 6-0 Brentford. Any guesses? Derby County Italian player. There you go. Stefano Iranio. Yes, 12th. And the last one, the goalkeeper, Italian goalkeeper, played for Arsenal. Italian goalkeeper played for Arsenal. Come on. Come on. Italian goalkeeper. Scott Butler, not a real fan of quizzes. You're not a real fan of quizzes, Scott? Hey, well, you don't have to be a fan of quizzes, mate. It's all good. Good to have you in the chat. Vito Manoni. Yes, Luigi got it right. It is Vito Manoni. They are the top 20 Italians with the most appearances in Premier League football. Number 20 was Destiny Adoghi. 19, Graziano Pella. Number 18, Balotelli. Number 17, Tonali. Number 16, Massimo Maccaroni of Middlesbrough. Number 15, Davide Santon of Newcastle. Number 14, Vito Manoni, ex-Arsenal, West Ham, Sunderland goalkeeper. Number 13, Vicario, who plays for Spurs currently. 12th is Stefano Iranio, who played for Derby County. 11th, Gianluca Festa. 10th, Barini, played for Liverpool, played for Chelsea, Swansea, Sunderland. Di Matteo, Chelsea's finest, of course. Emerson, the Chelsea and West Ham fullback. Pistoni, who played famously for Everton. Cudicini, goalkeeper who played for Chelsea and Spurs. Benito Carboni, wonderful player, played for Sheffield Wednesday and Villa and various others. Bradford as well for a spell. Paolo Di Canio is 4th with 190 appearances. One of the greatest ever Premier League goals, Paolo Di Canio, wasn't he? Yeah, Jorginho is third. Chelsea, Arsenal. Never really rated Jorginho, to be honest. Ogbonna is second. West Ham centre-back Ogbonna. And then Zola first. Yeah, Zola first. Scott says, no, you aren't a real fan of a football team. You haven't been to a game since 2023. It's pathetic. Yeah, I know I can't go to games anymore, Scott. Choose not to, mate. ZQXV, how's it going? I'm good, mate. How's it going with you? Callum says, what game on Thursday? Celtic v Stuttgart, mate, please. Possibly. No, can't do Celtic Stuttgart because we're doing Arsenal Wolves, I think. Wolves Arsenal is the game on Thursday. I think we've already got that in. Cecil says, Key, did you used to collect those Merlin football sticker albums? My whole school was obsessed with it. Yes, absolutely. Loved it. Good fun. And on a permo says, thought I didn't want any of you to see me cry getting beat from Stuttgart. Brendan says, Scott sounds like a lovely fella. To be fair, Scott comes in pretty much every game to tell me that. I think it's the first time I've replied to the lad. I've probably made his day. James Georgie Nio. It's not Georgie Nio. No. And it's definitely not Gabardini, and it's defo not Bonito Carboni. Just FYI, James. But cheers for the correction, man. Malcolm says, Key, be honest, lad, is Spurs a bigger club than Everton? In every way that matters, yes. If you're a top footballer right now and you have a choice between Everton or Spurs, who are you choosing, Malcolm? I mean, let's pretend it's not you, because obviously if you're a top footballer, then something has gone drastically wrong. I'm saying if you're a top footballer and you're an Everton fan, you would obviously choose Everton. I get that. What I'm saying is, if you weren't an Everton fan, right, and you had two clubs, that was your option. You had Everton or Spurs. You could go to one or the other. Totally your call. Which one would it be? 100% it would be Spurs. James, why are you so unlikable? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just a natural talent. Why do you feel the need to correct people on minor things? I guess that's the other thing I would ask. Cecil says, I remember Liverpool was the first full team I completed. Last player I got was Patrick Berger. Best day of my life. Normal guy says, Sula on for Roma. Yes, Sula as well. Kingsloth says, Everton because they'll finish higher. Nah, Everton won't finish higher than Spurs this season. I doubt it. Malcolm says, it's Everton, lad. I love to live in Liverpool. Well, yeah, maybe. You'd probably prefer to live in Liverpool over London. It's a bit stabby in London, isn't it? It's a bit stabby in London at the minute. Did you see that on the news today, by the way? That fella went on I don't know what channel it was on, but he basically went on and he was like, yeah, I've been stabbed twice in London. And the host was like, well, you know, it's a big city. Sometimes that happens. Eh? Is that how we're supposed to react to that? Well, it's a big city. It does happen from time to time. Napoli, come on. Rasmus Højlund, cleared away. Should be a good second half, this. Oh, far post. Strike. Oh, just wide. Unlucky. Roma get it away. And we're off for the second half. Says Brendan, I don't know if it's that clear cut. Spurs have the London pull, but there is not much between them. Oh, come on. Just from a purely football perspective. From a purely football perspective, if you had a choice between Spurs and Everton, that was your choice, right? Purely football perspective, you're definitely choosing Spurs. Spurs have won more. Spurs have been in the Champions League. Spurs have got the better stadium. Spurs, you'll earn more money. What exactly would you be choosing Everton for? Short of maybe you prefer living in the north over the south. But generally speaking, London maybe is a better, higher quality of life if you're rich. If you're not rich, it's probably not that much good. James, well, you kept saying George Gian no, and it isn't pronounced like that. So why does that matter so much to you? That's an important question, James. Why do you feel the need to correct people, even if it's just over something really minor? See how you said that was unlikable when I did that to you? And all I did was reply and say it's not spelt Bonito Carboni, it's Benito Carboni. I would never have done that. Do you know why? Because you're a prick if you do it. It's a really small thing. Super small. It's nothing. Doesn't affect your day at all. But you felt the need to correct. Or hyper-correct. It's just a bit sad. But hey, if you don't like it, kid, that's all good. You don't have to watch. It's a beauty of TikTok. All you've got to do is just put your finger on the screen, just go like that, and that's all good. I won't come back on. Love it, James. Brendan says, have Spurs won more than Everton? Everton have more league titles. I know, but you act as if that is that a factor for players? Would players really look at a club's history and say, well, they're a bigger club, so I'm going there? I don't think it'd factor into most players' equations, if I'm dead honest. Peter McAllister says Everton have won the league 9 times, Spurs have won it 2 times. I honestly don't think that would matter to any player right now. That's like saying Sunderland or Huddersfield have won it more than, I don't know, Newcastle. You know, Sunderland have won more league titles than Newcastle, haven't they? But where would you rather go at the minute? Because the Newcastle are playing in Europe. They won a League Cup last year, which has got the more realistic prospect of winning something. Newcastle or Sunderland. Or Newcastle or Huddersfield. That sort of history just doesn't really come into people's equation. James, you've spelt Jorginho wrong again, mate. You've spelt it wrong. Peter, what we're saying says Roma was quite stabby when I went to watching that. Yeah, I was going to say I didn't like it in Rome. I agree, King Sloth. I didn't like it in Rome either. We went 2018. 2018, I think it was, Liverpool in the semi-final. Malcolm says, Key, have some shame. Everton have got 9 league titles, Tottenham 2. We've won more titles, lad. I know, but I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters. I don't think footballers would really even care about that. Paul says it would be Newcastle as their Premier League. Okay. What about Sunderland, though? However many Premier Leagues you've won, I think that's irrelevant. I think the project is far more exciting at Spurs than it is to Everton. Olapermo says people won't come to Celtic because they were the first British club to win the European Cup in '67. Exactly. Yeah, history doesn't matter with Celtic and Rangers, does it? Nobody's going to Celtic and Rangers. Why? Because they've got no realistic prospect of winning anything outside of the SPFL. Cecil says a Chelsea fan got stabbed a couple of weeks ago in Napoli. They did. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous in Italy. Clarkey, why did Richarlison leave Everton? Because he won't. Exactly, yeah. It's a fair point, Clarkey. Why did Richarlison leave Everton? Because he wanted to win things. Kieran says Premier League fans disrespect Everton so much. I don't think it's disrespectful to say that a player would rather go to Spurs than Everton. It's not disrespectful. I don't think that's disrespectful at all. They're a huge club, Everton. I just don't think that Spurs would be... If you had a straight choice between the two, I genuinely believe if we asked independent football fans who haven't got any bias either way, I genuinely believe if you were asked, you're a Premier League footballer, you're a footballer, or whatever it is, and you've got a choice between Spurs or Everton, where are you picking? It's 1,000,000% Spurs. No one's picking Everton. Nobody is picking Everton over Spurs. There's just no chance. Malcolm says, Richarlison left for money. He left for money, you think? I don't think so. I think he left because he wanted to win things. And he did, in fairness. Prince Rupert says, you're right, Key. Any player would choose Spurs over Everton these days because they're seen as a bigger club in the football world, even if Everton is a bigger club in terms of trophies. Agreed, and that's from an Everton fan. I agree. Everton are probably, if you just look at the Just looking at the history, Everton have won more trophies, but recent history, Spurs have won far more. Recent history, Spurs have competed in the Champions League, Everton never have. Or, you know what I mean? It's a really important thing, that, and I don't think modern footballers really care about the fact that Everton won trophies 40 years ago. Doesn't make a difference. Loco says, I get your point, however, I'd rather go to Sunderland, guaranteed game time for my development. You don't join a Real Madrid to develop, you need to be a ready-made player. Oh, fair enough. Reece says, it's probably easier to become an Everton with their more attainable expectations rather than Spurs' overinflated vision of their status in the pecking order. Reggie says, I have massive bias, but Spurs are unfortunately a much bigger side than Everton. Shell says, because we needed the money. I know, but Richarlison, I think, maybe he didn't want to leave, right? But I don't think he necessarily fought against it either, did he? He's gone on and he's won a European Cup at Spurs. He's played in the Champions League. Maybe he hasn't felt the love that he did at Everton, but his career has undoubtedly got more to show for it than he would have had. If he stayed at Everton, he'd have had not the stuff that he's had. He wouldn't have had the Champions League experiences. He wouldn't have had the Europa League win. His career is undoubtedly richer having gone to Spurs, and I think that's a factor. That is a factor. It's not an attack on Everton. It's not a knock on Everton to say that Spurs represent a better opportunity. Rapper Brown says, Roma win or not, guys? I think it's going to be... I said 2-2 before the game. I still think 2-2. Prince Rupert says, Richarlison didn't want to leave. We were forced to sell him because of PSR bullshit. And Brendan says, I do think it would be Spurs, but I'm not sure it would be a landslide. You're as likely to win something with Everton as Spurs. Are you? How are you as likely to win something with Everton as you are Spurs? Surely not. Spurs have been to Champions League finals. They've been to... since Everton last won, they've won a League Cup. They've won a Europa League. They've been to multiple finals. Everton haven't. Everton have had one FA Cup final. And they've won nothing. They've never been in the Champions League. Spurs have been in the Champions League with some degree of regularity. Certainly more than never. It's that, it's a big factor. It's a big factor for players. Kieran says Spurs should not be a top 6 club. And Malcolm says, Key, don't forget you went 30 years without a league title. You still talk about how big your club was in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, but we've won things since. Liverpool have continuously been a big club because we've continued to win things. The longest we've gone without winning anything is like 5-6 years. We've always won stuff, mate. We've always won stuff. Well, it's same with United. Even during this like banter era of United, they've always won like FA Cups and League Cups. Newcastle had a parade around the city for winning a League Cup. Great for them. Like, that's a bad season for United and Liverpool. That's the sort of thing that Liverpool and United have been doing for years in, year out, and that's how it is. It's the same thing with Spurs and Everton, but to a slightly lesser degree. Spurs are used to competing in Champions Leagues. They're used to competing in Europe. If they're not in Europe, it's a massive issue. They're sacking managers because they're not getting them close to Europe. That's not what Everton are doing. Everton are hiring steady Eddies like David Moyes. They're not necessarily frustrated if they don't get Europe this season, because they're not meant to. They're not meant to get Europe. They're not like there's not an absolute outrage if Everton don't get Europe, whereas I think there would be at Spurs. I think there would be a clear upset that Spurs haven't got European football. Gunners94 says, Key, I agree. Scum ain't top 6 club. Villa are bigger. To each their own, mate. Davey says, heavy head and can't taste things. Hope you're good, mate. I've come down with COVID now. Oh, bloody hell. Sorry to hear that, Davey. Sorry, man. Hopefully things improve. Have you lost your sense of taste as well? It's not why you've come watching me, is it? Many say you've got no taste if you're watching this channel. Brenda says, Everton with the new ground build have an opportunity to push on. They do, but they haven't yet. If Everton get in the Conference League, they could easily win it and go from there. I don't think it's as cut and dry as you're saying. Yeah, but that's all if, buts and maybes, isn't it? That's if, buts and maybes. If Everton get in Europe, which they've not managed to do for years, if Everton then win it, they can't win at home. They've got a horrendous record at home. The fans, I've spoke to a load of Everton fans who've said if they could go back to Goodison Park tomorrow, they would. It's a beautiful stadium, but it's an absolute night. They hate it. Reggie says Spurs have the best ground in Europe, Brendan. And Kieran says, Key, in your opinion, who's bigger, Tottenham or Villa? Villa. Yeah, Villa are. Brody, how's it going, mate? Good to see you. Yeti NUFC says, what did you think of the atrocious ref at Villa yesterday? Yeah, I didn't think he helped Newcastle in any way, shape or form. But I was glad that Newcastle won in the end because it was the right result. Yeah, wasn't obviously a goal that Villa scored. It should have been ruled out for offside. I think it maybe could have been a red card for Luca Dean on the tackle on Murphy. And I think it could have been a penalty for Harvey Barnes in the first half. So yeah, Newcastle were really hard done by, but they still won. They deserve to win. Rupert, cheers for the super chat. Important question, Key. Why do you hate Arsenal? I know, yeah, God forbid. Cheers, mate. Brendan says Spurs winning anything is ifs, buts and maybes. No, but they've already won it. That's my point. My point is there's no ifs and buts with Spurs. If you look over the last 10 years and you look over the last 10, that's not a small period of time. A small test sample would be like the last 12 months. If we're looking at the last 10 years, Everton v Spurs, it's a landslide. It's an absolute landslide. We're talking Champions League finals, regular Champions League football, Europa League win. None of that with Everton. None of that. It's categorically a Spurs. You would choose Spurs every day of the week for me. Again, if you disagree, it's totally your right. I don't know a single person in my circle of friends, circle of colleagues, circle of people I've spoke to about football that would be like, yeah, I think I'd go to Everton there. Anna Permo says there's no ifs, buts and maybes with that UEFA Cup in the trophy cabinet. And Jose says, Key, would you take on Stone Cold Steve Austin in a steel cage match for 10 grand? Yeah. I'd take anyone on in a cage match for 10 grand. Paul says Spurs never really have been regular in the European Cup. Well, they've done recently. Recently, they've been in and out it fairly, with more regularity than Everton have anyway. Reggie says Spurs have historically been finishing in the top 4 to 8 for the better part of 20 years. Everton have been in relegation fights. It's such a silly comparison. That's true. Teaching Tony, how's it going, mate? Love you too. And Shell says we're on our way back. And do you know what? And when you are back, Shell, then let's have this discussion again. Let's have this discussion again and we'll reconvene when Everton are back. And maybe then we can have a meaningful talk about why Everton are more likely to attract players if it was a straight choice between Everton and Spurs. I actually don't think Everton and Spurs shop in the same window, to be honest. I don't think they shop in the same shops, the same market. I don't think it's the same. I don't think you're ever likely to see two players having a straight choice between Everton and Spurs. Clarkey says they play Man United at their new stadium next Monday. They do, and we're all rooting for Everton in that one. Come on, the Ev. Brody says I still can't get the fact that Spurs sacked Postecoglou after he won them that trophy for the first time. It's crazy, isn't it? Cecil says, Key, would you ever do a YouTube boxing thing? I think you v True Geordie would be a great fight. Why are you putting me up against the biggest, hardest lad? He'd kick fuck out of me. Give me a chance. Put me in against someone. Put me in against Stephen Tries or someone like that. Someone relatively, you know, both St. Helens lads. No, to be honest, I don't think it's really me. I wouldn't run away from any of it, like, but yeah, I don't think if you put me in with True Geordie, I don't think I'd last 2 minutes. Shell v Key. I think I'd run away from Shell. Kieran says L5 to 015 between those years. Everton was in Europe quite a lot. How many years were they in Europe? 3, 4? And again, that's like 11, that's like 20 years ago. It's 20 years, mate. That's a long time. That's not going to be something that's going to factor into players. Like 20 years ago, no one's going to be that bothered about what's happened in the last 10, yes. But things that happened 20 years ago, nah. Malcolm says, don't tell me you're 5'7", lad. You can't boxing, lad. Hey, listen, Pacquiao's only a short ass. Spurs never really have been regular in Europe. Waleed says, as a French, it's funny. Oh, claim for the penalty. I don't think you're going to get it. I think it's going to be a free kick for Roma. Let's watch this back. Is it a free kick? No, free kick for Napoli. Free kick for Napoli. Kiwi Jesus guy. Who's Jesus guy? I don't even know who that is. On the Permo says, Ange had a hard time with injuries and still won the UEFA Cup. I liked Ange a lot. I really found him. I think he's a good manager. I do. I like him. Find it very, very difficult to dislike him. Alicia Key modders on here. Too many numpties spamming. I don't even know who's spamming. I can't see any spam. Where's the spam? Davey says him on YouTube with long hair. I don't think I've seen him. Napoli down the left-hand side. Come on, we've got to get a goal in this second half. Here's Spinazzola, the goal scorer. Good ball in, far post header. Easy, too easy that. Well, let's do some more of these club comparisons then. Let's do some more of them. Let's do some that would be if you had a straight choice between. If you had a straight choice now, which is the more attractive club? A straight choice between Newcastle and Villa. Newcastle and Villa, right? You got a choice between Newcastle and Villa, which team you go into. If you're a top player in Europe, and look, I'm a Liverpool fan, I've got my view on this, but if you're a top player in Europe and you've got two options, Newcastle or Villa, what team are you picking? Roma, good play in the area. That's offside. That's poor. Villa says Villa, not even a conversation. That's silly. Is it? Don't know. Prince Rupert says, just watched the High Performance podcast with Pochettino today. I have to say the guy seems just as sound as I always had the impression of. Would have loved him. I would love him at Everton when Moyes goes. Do you still, I think Moyes goes at the end of the season. Do you still think that's a possibility? On a Permo says, it says a lot about Ange's football philosophy when he doesn't even keep that style in the Europa League final. And Kieran says only Spurs can go up against Leicester in a title race and lose. Josh says Newcastle. Chimey says Newcastle. And Reggie says probably Villa just because Newcastle's future seems a bit more shaky, to be honest. Newcastle says Madhouse. Julia says Villa. There you go. So it's not that cut and dry. It's not that cut and dry, Alicia. I mean, you thought Villa straight away. So we've got kind of 4 of each. 4 Villa, 4 Newcastle. I honestly think if I was a player, I had a choice between Villa or Newcastle, I'd probably be choosing Newcastle. Again, just because of recently they've got a little bit more stability about them. I think Unai Emery, if Unai Emery goes, put it this way, this would enter my thinking. If Unai Emery leaves Aston Villa, are they still going to be a top club competing in the top 4? No. Oh, that's a penalty, and that's maybe a red card. It's a penalty to Roma. Oh, it's a penalty to Roma. It's Wesley Franca driving into the box. It's a really, really dangerous run. It's brilliant. We've earmarked him earlier in the game as a really talented player. He's got bags of pace, and he's driving into the area. And do you know what? I think it's a simple trip, actually. It's a trip from Romani. Yeah, it's a trip. I don't even think he actually means to trip him up, but he falls, and he's fell into him, and now Wesley Franca down. It's going to be a penalty to Roma. Possibly a red card here as well. Possibly a red. No, just a yellow for Romani. Alicia says, I'd rather play under Emery and the players at Villa than Newcastle. I know, but you wouldn't have to... Surely, this is why I was saying I think is a factor in my decision. I would look at it and go, well, Unai Emery might not be at Villa forever. Managers change fairly quickly at clubs. If I'm signing a 5 or a 6 year contract, like, I need to know that the club is the right place to go beyond this manager. You can't join a club for a manager. That's a ridiculous decision. You don't join a club for a manager because Unai Emery probably... If Unai Emery leaves Villa, are they still going to be in and around the top 4? I don't think so. I think Unai Emery is the reason that Villa are where they are. And I don't think Eddie Howe is the reason Newcastle are where they are. I think the project at Newcastle is sustainable, and I think it's one that... Forget the whole Saudi thing. I think they're a well-run club, and I think they have... generally made good signings. I think Voltemada speaks more towards the type of signings that they make. Obviously, Wissa was a little bit not sure, but I think Jacob Ramsey, I think Voltemada, I think these players come good in the end. I think Livramento, Lewis Hall, Chow, these are good young players. So I think Newcastle. Honestly, I think I'd rather go to Newcastle, whether it was Eddie Howe or someone else, than Unai Emery's Villa. Because I think if Unai Emery leaves, Villa will sink like a stone. Kieran says, Villa are the bigger club. The only reason Newcastle are as big as they are is because they're a one-club city. And about how important is the bigger club? Like, how important is that to players? I don't think it makes a factor. I think if you're ranking what players look for in clubs that they join, it's like, maybe it's pay. Maybe it's what players... am I going to play with? I mean, overall, it's what is my prospect of winning something at this club? And I think at Newcastle and Villa, you could argue reasonably they've got about the same chance of winning things, roughly. Okay, so that's maybe equal. So what about, like, living situation, all that stuff? Is that all right? I mean, yeah, Birmingham and Newcastle, both good cities, both about the same in terms of culture and whatever. I don't know. I quite like Newcastle, to be honest. Villa struggle to keep their wage budget straight because they need to overpay to get the quality players in. Daniel Marlin. Oh, it's 2. It's 2 on Roma. 2-1 to Roma. 20 minutes left. And Roma are in front. Daniel Marlin with his second of the game, and that's 6 in 5 for him now, isn't it? Brendan says, nobody told Nico Kranjčar joining the club for a manager was a ridiculous thing to do. The thing is, he moved around a lot. He just kind of followed Harry Redknapp about, didn't he? Daniel Marlin with the goal. Maddow says the Toon fans are nuts and I love him. Banu Shrestha, when you are hosting Serie A, talk about Serie A, god damn it. Well, let's talk about Serie A. What do you want to talk about? I'll talk about whatever you want. I also think you could argue Newcastle, though, because of the investment which he's put into the club. True enough, yeah. You could make it. That's why you could make a case for both, couldn't you? I think that's a lot closer than, like, Spurs v Everton, put it that way. Kieran says, who do you think is bigger out of Chelsea and Arsenal? Chelsea are bigger than Arsenal. Now they're bigger than Arsenal. I would never have said that 15 years ago, but now they are. Yeah. Chelsea are bigger than Arsenal now. Napoli goalkeeper looks very inspired by Tim Howard. And on a Permo says, I didn't mind Newcastle fans until they came to Glasgow and sang sectarian songs and drinking in Rangers pubs. Also had Rangers fans with Rangers tops in Parkhead. Yeah, I think with Chelsea, I think the issue is, the Chelsea-Arsenal thing. Chelsea have won 2 European Cups now. Like, they've won 2 European Cups. They've won loads of Premier League titles. I think recent success matters a lot more. Arsenal haven't won a trophy in like 6 years, really. They've not won a title in 20 odd. Recent success matters, I think. Cecil says Arsenal are far bigger than Chelsea, especially internationally. Africa and Asia are all Arsenal and Man United. I know, but Cecil, you've got to remember, like, if you're a Premier League footballer or you're a footballer that is being, like, Arsenal and Chelsea are they're coming in for you, they're at the table. You've got Arsenal, you've got a meeting with them, you've got a meeting with Chelsea. Are you really going to be asked about how many fans Chelsea have got in Africa and Asia versus how many fans Arsenal have got in Africa and Asia? It's not even going to be a factor in your decision, mate. You're not even going to care about that. Nobody's asked how, and you can't quantify it anyway. Maybe Chelsea have got 1 million fans and Arsenal have got 1.2. Who gives a rat's? It's nobody cares about and you can't quantify it anyway. Nobody's bothered about the number of fans. There's no way that would factor into anybody's decision. Chimey says, I think Newcastle will eventually reach City levels. They could do, yeah. Carter says, Roma will come up. I'm a big fan from Botswana. Yes, lots of love, mate. Joe says, is that the whole Newcastle fans then? On a Permo, that's a tiny minority. And Maddow says, Chelsea better than Arsenal. But I know what you mean. I just think Chelsea are a bigger club than Arsenal now, having won what they've won in the last 15 years. I think that the recent titles, the recent Champions Leagues, the Europa Leagues, the Conference Leagues, that matters. That does matter. It has to matter. It absolutely has to matter. Lisha, I'll give you one. Who would you rather join as a player right now, City or Arsenal, and you need to stay here for a minimum of 6 years? Probably Arsenal. Yeah, probably Arsenal. But again, that would only be if you asked me now, it would be Arsenal. If you asked me at the end of the season, once a decision has been made on the whole 115 thing, it would be City. Basically, if you take the 115 thing out of the equation, it's City. That's the only thing that stops it being City. It's City every single day of the week. The only thing that changes it is that 115. Because there's a slight doubt they might go down. But that's it. There's nothing else. Everything else about playing, about how they play, about even if the manager leaves, City have got a great structure there that it's built for success. They won before Pep. They'll win again after Pep. City are the right choice there, but it's only about the 115. Bang on, lad. How can you want Arsenal winning that title? The most unbearable, deluded fan base by far. I don't want Arsenal to win the title for what it's worth. On a Permo... Oh, sorry, Joe says, I'm defending it, mate. I just think you're being a little unfair and over the top. Madhouse, are City bigger than Arsenal? Yes. City are bigger than Arsenal. Chelsea are bigger than Arsenal. In my opinion, yes, they are. Categorically, they are. Kieran says we beat Arsenal 4-1 in a Europa League final. And Shell says, my bedtime. Night, night. Have a good night, Kip, everyone. Take it easy, Shell. See you soon. Wesley did really well there. Do you know, it was so unlucky that from Romani, because he's not even looking at him. He just kind of... It's his foot placement. He doesn't even mean to do it. Lisha says, harder than people take it for the trajectory both clubs are going. Who'll succeed more in the next 6 years? For me, City. Again, take the 115 off the table. City succeed more in the next 6 years. You've got all the evidence in the world there to show that City are going to be the more successful in the next 6 years. Ryan, I heard that Pep's successor at City is Enzo Maresca. Yeah, I think so. Allegedly so. Yeah, shake hands, lads. It's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all banter. It's only a bit of banter. It's just Richard Keys. It was just banter. Callum Coyle, how's it going, Callum? Last 15 minutes at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Any chance we could get maybe a late equaliser? I said 2-2 before. Still think there's a chance Napoli could get one more back. Do you know what? Onapermo and Joe, two of the soundest lads in the chat as well. So do you know what? Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. Handshakes. I think you lads, after this is over, I think you should get an apartment together. That's how close I think you guys just are, because you just both sound. So I think after all this is over, once all is said and done, shake hands and go and get an apartment together. Kieran says, here's a debate. Who's bigger, Rangers or Celtic? I mean, recently, Rangers. Yeah, I would go Rangers in recent terms. In terms of Europe and everything, I'd think I'd probably rather join Rangers than Celtic. But it's tough. I think it's much of a muchness. If you're joining Scottish football, generally speaking, your career's not gone how you thought it's gonna go. Or you're right at the start. You're either right at the start of your career, right at the end of your career, or your career's in the doldrums in middle of your 20s. Reggie says, Key, who are you rooting for in the World Cup outside of England? Haiti. Now, I don't mind anyone. I'm just looking forward to watching football. I am trying to get, I don't know if you was in the chat earlier, but I'm trying to get on a time zone where I can watch the vast majority of the games. The problem I've got is some of the games are at 2, 3 a.m. So we've genuinely talked about flying over to the US to get on US time so that I can do the games at local time. And it'll be so much easier. So much better. I can do pretty much all of the games. It'll be so difficult, but for 6 weeks I will live in the US and do all of the games streaming from there. I can't really do that over here because at 2, 3 a.m. it's just too difficult. You can't do 2, 3 a.m. streams. Not for me anyway. Maybe for others they might be able to, but I can't. Onapermo says Joel singing he said right now. Stranraer. Celtic are the most successful club in Britain. Ollie says, who do you think goes up from the Championship this season? I think Ipswich, I think Coventry, and I think, don't know, the playoffs could go either way. I don't know, I've got a funny feeling we see Millwall in the Prem next year. Millwall in the Prem, what do you think about that? Kieran says, I'm going to say Hearts, then Rangers and Celtic. Love Hearts to win it this year. Napoli, nearly 1-1. Reece says, go on, say Borough, Key. I can't say Borough. You know I hate Borough. Can't do it. Reggie says, I did wonder how the scheduling is going to work. Presumably, England will get 8 p.m. kickoffs. Well, have you seen... So, listen to this, right? So, I had a look at this before. This is the schedule, the World Cup schedule. World Cup schedule, UK time, right? This is ridiculous. And I've already looked at flights. Oh, Napoli! Yes, it's 2-2! It's 2-2. Napoli have equalised. I said they were going to equalise. They have equalised. It's 2-2. Get in there, Napoli. Get in there. 2-2. I love it. And Mallorca 1, Betis 2. But it is the second of the game. But it's Alisson who scored it. It's brilliant stuff. Napoli 2, Roma 2. Get in there. That's sensational. It was a fabulous finish. Ball got played into his feet. He just cuts inside and just smashes it, drills it. It's a little bit of a daisy cutter. Keeper, absolutely no chance. Alisson Santos, the young lad who's just come on. When did he come on? 70th minute. 10 minutes ago. He's been on the pitch 10 minutes. Came on for Romani as they pushed forward. And it's a fabulous goal for him. He's actually done really well since he's come in. This is his first. Is it his first game? I think it's his first game for Napoli. Yeah, it's his first game. He scored on his debut, the lad. He got a goal for Sporting against Bilbao in the Europa League last month. And now he's on loan at Napoli. Alisson Santos. What a goal that is. Brendan says, strange answer given your logic on other answers. Celtic have largely dominated the last 25 years and been in the Champions League much more. That's the last 25 years. I'm talking again the last 5 to 10. Recency. Rangers have been in a Europa League final. Rangers, I just feel like Rangers have done better generally in Europe than Celtic have. Both teams have been a bit naff recently though. Reese says, you're bonkers, Key. You go balls deep in every decision you make. You're bloody brilliant. No half-arsing anything. Well, listen, what's the point? What's the point, Reese, right? I could literally tank the channel and just do 1 or 2 games every day. But have you seen the state of the fixture list, right? So, Thursday, June 11th, right? Mexico against South Africa. Napoli are just making a change. Politano coming off, right? Mexico against South Africa, 8 o'clock UK time. Mexico City, Mexico, South Africa, that's the 11th of June. I'm fine with that one. Friday, June the 12th, South Korea versus someone in the playoffs. Could be Republic of Ireland, could be South Korea, Republic of Ireland. That's at 3 a.m. I can't do it. I can't do a game at 8 and a game at 3 a.m. There's absolutely no way I can do it. It would have to be a proper night shift, right? And then I'd have to once that game's finished, I would have to go to bed as soon as it's done and get ready to get up in the morning, in the night again for Canada against maybe Wales, which is 8 p.m. And then it's USA v Paraguay at 2 a.m. Followed by Qatar, Switzerland, 8 p.m. Brazil, Morocco, 11 p.m. The whole point of doing 6 weeks in the US is that I can get on their time zone, and that is what I'm going to do. I'm telling you. If I can, the plan is to try and get to... It doesn't even necessarily have to be anywhere close to where the World Cup's happening. I'll go to Utah for 6 weeks. I'll go to Nebraska for 6 weeks. I don't care. But I have to go to somewhere where the World Cup is... The time zone is a little bit more manageable. Because for a guy like me, I just can't do it. Joel says, can we be told why you hate butter again, please, Key? Yeah, so I don't hate anyone in life, mate. I hope you know that. I have no issues with anyone in life. Generally speaking, everybody I've ever met, I've at least got on with. There's nobody really that I've fell out with. Generally speaking, everyone's been okay. But there's one guy. And he was a prick, right? And he just went out of his way. To make life difficult. Not just for me, but for everyone. He was just one of them people. And he was a massive Middlesbrough fan. And for that reason, I always take just a little bit of solace every time I see Borough lose. I'm like, yeah, that prick's not happy. Fucking brilliant. Get in there. So, it's so petty. It is so petty. I actually don't mind Borough as a club. I liked Borough a lot growing up. But for that reason, yeah, he's a tit. I like that. Thomas says, what's your opinion on Tsimikas as a Liverpool fan? I like him. I like Tsimikas. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Tsimikas coming back to be maybe the backup to Kirkes next summer. If Robertson decides, well, Robertson is going, I wouldn't have a problem really with Tsimikas coming back. Rohale says Scottish title race is more exciting than the Premier League this season for me. I've never seen that happen. I've watched football for decades. Normal Guy says this has been a great game. It has. It's been really good, hasn't it? Charmy says go to Canada instead. We looked at Calgary as well, but Calgary's like so much more expensive to get to. And honestly, the time zone is the most important thing. So if I'm being dead honest, I'll go anywhere. I'm going to have 6 weeks in Nebraska. Lincoln, Nebraska for 6 weeks. Or 6 weeks in Ohio. Or 6 weeks in Utah. Or whatever. I'm not bothered. Normal guy says don't go to Alabama either. Why not? Why? What's up with Alabama? Ree says if Millwall make the Prem, the Derby v West Ham will be feisty. Josh says I know a few of them, Key, trust me. And don't go to Utah for something like that. It's a lovely scenario, but boring as fuck. Well, no, but isn't that the whole point? It doesn't have to be. It just needs to be cheap. Just cheap. Get me on the time zone. Cheap. Cheap's like cheap hospitality. Cheap like flights. That's all I need. Somewhere with Wi-Fi in the US. Get me there. Do you think there could be a winner in this game, James? Possibly. Yeah, we've still got a couple of minutes left, plus injury time. Decode says the project at NUFC is not sustainable because a lot of players joined with the idea of an ambitious owner, but they gave up. Bruno, Tonali and Mort are more than willing to leave as soon as possible. Again, yeah, that's fair enough. That's reasonable. Strike from Napoli, headed away by Roma. Napoli now pushing to try and win it. If anything, it's looking more like Napoli might pinch it late on. Reece says, geez, you'll be back 5 stone fatter, a few grand poorer, but 50k subs up and be sick of the sight of burgers forever. Love your approach and dedication to everything you do. Cheers, mate. Hey, listen. Life. Short. Go all in or don't go at all. Gotta do it. Honor Permo says, forgot about Dundee. Presley, so funny. His words at his announcement as a manager was basically, if you're looking for a manager that will win things, then that's not me. Aspire. How has Napoli played? Honestly, being brutally honest, crap. Napoli have been awful for large parts of the game. Roma took the lead through Marlon. Napoli got a big deflection from Spinazzola. It was a good goal, but it was a big deflection. Got it back to 1-1 at half-time. Daniel Marlon then equalised through a penalty. It was a definite penalty. And it looked really for a large part that Roma would go on and maybe get a third. And then Napoli, out of nowhere, Alisson Santos, the young winger who they've just brought in on loan from Sporting Lisbon, 23 years of age, he's just drilled one in, really good goal. And since then, it looks like it's all Napoli. Napoli are the ones who are pressing forward. Madhouse says lots of virgins in Salt Lake City. I'm a married man, mate. I don't think I can sell the wife on that. Hey, love, I've got great feedback on Salt Lake City. Joe says, Key's a legend apart from when he's bantering me, which is most of the time. Holofermo says, my keyboard is shite, by the way, hence the mad spelling mistakes. Brendan says, go to Jamaica. See, I think the wife would love Jamaica a little bit more. She'd be game for Jamaica. But Jamaica, I don't know, what's the time zone in Jamaica? It's not the same in Jamaica as it is in Utah, is it? Time in Utah right now is 25 to 3 in the afternoon. So it's 25 to 10 here. It's 25 to 3 there. So what's that? 7 hours behind. So what's the time in Montego Bay? Jamaica. Oh, they're 2 hours ahead. It's pointless going. They're only 5 hours behind us, Jamaica. Royal says, love watching Salah yesterday. He's lost a bit of pace, but he's got a reminder of what he used to be and what a brilliant player he used to be. Yeah, he's a good player. I like Salah a lot. Chris says, how long for extra time? There's 4 minutes of added on time. It's, Napoli in the box! Oh, nearly a penalty. Unlucky. Still 2-2, but there's maybe 2.5 minutes to go. Joe says, what about Blackpool, Key? I don't think the time difference is that... I mean, time stands still in Blackpool, some say. But I don't think it stands still in the way that I want it to. Chapo, just got home from Arsenal v Wigan. You just got home from Arsenal v Wigan. Christ, how far have you had to get... Where have you travelled to? Finished ages ago, that. Jamaica time zone is East Coast US time, which would be closer to most of the games than Utah. Ooh, maybe. Well, maybe so. Maybe. Hey, there you go. There's method in your madness, mate. I haven't really thought about it to a great degree about where we'd go, but it's something I'm seriously considering. Whether or not we do it or not is another matter, because obviously it's got to be price dependent. There's got to be a way we can get me missus, and my little girl over there for 6 weeks for the entirety of the World Cup. It's a lot. And it's got to be flights, accommodation, all of that for 6 weeks. Hopefully we can do it, but I don't know. We'll see. London to Lincoln, 3 hours. Lincoln, that's where you live. There's nothing in Lincoln. Used to have clients in Lincoln. It's a nice place, but it's bloody hard to get to. Fair play to you, mate. In a video game I play, I went risky and did 5 total. Nice, good lad. I don't think you're going to get 5. No. Joe says there's always room in gate, said Key. Cheers, man. Strike! Oh, good effort. Good save. Reece says goal to Luton, Key. Time difference there is unbelievable. Well, to be fair, you could say the same with St. Helens. It's like stepping back in time going into St. Helens. 60 seconds left in the Diego Armando Maradona. We've got a player down here, though. Oh, it's Cristante. Cristante's gone down off the ball. There's nothing in it, though. Good save, that, though. Really good save from Milos Villar. Did very well to push it away. Listen, I've not given anyone a reminder tonight, by the way. I should have done, but I've not done any self-promotion. As you know, if you watch this channel, if you're a lurker in this channel, we watch games of football every single day. That's what we do on this channel, and we love it. It's brilliant. We've got a great community of people, as you've seen in the chat. Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, City fans, Forest fans, Peterborough fans, Oxford fans, everyone. We've got a bit of everyone in the chat. It's all good, and they're all really, really lovely people. All ages. We've got old, young, fat, thin, bald, loads of hair, women, men, handsome, all that stuff. It's all good stuff. We've got a nice mix, and we've got loads of people who are really, really good at football, really know their football. I don't know if there might be some people who are good at football as well, but there's definitely people who know the football, and I love chatting football with you every single day. That is what we do on this channel. And if you like that and you want to see more of that, then make sure you've hit like, make sure you've subscribed, and you'll see more of it popping up on your feed. If you're not interested in it, then don't like it, don't subscribe. Don't do it. Stay away from it. It's not your thing. I totally get it, but I appreciate you watching anyway, and I appreciate you commenting. It is 2-2, exactly as I predicted. I've got one prediction right. I don't get many right, but I got this one right. 2-2. In the end, Napoli 2, Roma 2. Really, really good game. Daniel Marlon with 2. First one in the first half, second from the penalty spot. And then Spinazzola with a big deflected one from about 30 yards out, getting him back into the game before Alisson Santos, there he is, 23-year-old Brazilian on loan from Sporting Lisbon, on his debut in Serie A, getting the equaliser for Napoli. And it's... It does just change the table again, doesn't it? Because for Napoli, that puts them... where does that put them, actually? Napoli 3rd, Roma 4th. So Roma go back above Juventus, but Napoli remain 11 points behind Inter Milan. It's now all over to AC, isn't it? AC Milan have got to get a result against Como in midweek. AC Milan play Como on... Is it Wednesday night? I think AC Milan play Como on Wednesday night. That's going to be a massive game now to get them within 5 points of Inter Milan. And Como, listen, they're fighting themselves, trying to get back amongst the Champions League places with Cesc Fabregas. So there's just loads going on in Serie A. It's a really, really interesting league this season. In terms of what's coming up schedule-wise, because I've just seen all of that pop up, in terms of this week's schedule... For those who want to follow along, we've got on Monday night, tomorrow, we're going to be doing Girona against Barcelona. Can Barcelona bounce back from the 4-0 hammering that they took against Atletico Madrid in midweek in the Copa del Rey? semi-final. Barcelona have got to try and recover from that. They've gone behind Real Madrid in the title race. They've got to win to go back top of La Liga, but they've fallen behind Real Madrid. So we're going to be doing Girona-Barcelona tomorrow. Then we are doing... where are you? Girona-Barcelona. On Tuesday, we're doing Galatasaray-Juventus, followed by Benfica-Real Madrid in the Champions League. We're then doing, on Wednesday, Karabag against Newcastle, followed by Wolves and Arsenal. And then on Thursday, it's back to the Europa League. And then on Friday night, we've got Blackburn against Preston in the Championship. Another derby. So, if that's your thing, if you want to watch along with us, hopefully you do. Hopefully you liked it. Make sure you've liked. Make sure you've subscribed. I will be live tomorrow. Have a lovely, lovely night. Enjoy whatever you're doing with the rest of your Sunday. And I'll see you all soon. Have a nice night. Ta-da.